Hello, everybody. So, thank you for joining us. Let us know if you can hear us. Oh, Karina. Ah, Isaline is answering. Okay, we have Isaline in the public today, so she will support us with everything. Like Isaline way, she will write everything. So, thank you so much, Isaline. What can I say? Okay, so let's start. Katherine, if you agree, I will start by sharing the slides about SEO Nord, because tradition is, then we speak about that too before starting your presentation.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I will go. I will go. So, okay. Opa. So I hope then you can see our slides. How you do that? That is share, slideshow. Okay, here we go. Okay, so first of all, welcome to SEO Nerd Switzerland. So what can I say? Isaline and I have founded SEO Nerd Switzerland in November 2019. Isaline, correct me if I'm wrong. And we really wanted to meet other SEO because we were speaking just between us, and we wanted really to grow, to meet other people, but we didn't find anything. So we were like, let's do it ourselves. And so we built our community, which gave us the opportunity to meet fantastic SEO such as Katherine. And during the time, maybe the association evolved, and we are very focused on supporting also new speaker if ever you want to be a new speaker. So till the end of the year we already are fully booked, but maybe for the future, and we help you like with doing dry run and other things. So we are really proud of the work that we do. We particularly support women, by the way, but this is an association, and we do our best in our free time to make this something that everybody can enjoy, and then you can get value out of it. Obviously, like everything, we also need some money, and so we have a few sponsors that are helping us. So first of all, Leap, with Leap, which is a web and mobile development agency. I work there, by the way. And then we have Equal, which is a full agency. So they do everything from online marketing to development too. So there is really the full range. And then we have the fantastic Working SEO, which is Isaline, the CEO, and she do podcasting. So you have the stories, and you have a job board where you can find SEO jobs. I love it because like people go there and they share their story, and sometimes it's also emotional story. So yeah, for Working SEO. So let's speak about the next event. So the next event is taking place in Zurich, Switzerland, and it will be in-person event. There will be Marco and Emilia. Emilia will speak, it will be more about tech SEO, because Emilia will speak a lot about how to use markup and connect them to your to Wikidata. So it's just something that help the machine to better understand what your text is. And the other one is Marco. He works a lot with data and content. So obviously he will do a talk in that direction. As I say, both are in-person event. This one will be an in-person event. However, I am checking if we are able to do it also online, but mainly is in person, and I can promise that it will be also online. What else? Here we go. The reason why everybody's here is like because because Katherine is here and she will speak about log file analysis. So let me first of all introduce a bit Katherine, if that is okay. I love her story. and it's a spectacular story. So I heard also the Women in Tech SEO podcast, and I learned the story of Katherine, and I just fell in love with it. So initially, you were a content writer. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then you participated to the freelance coalition for developing countries. Then was like created by Chima. It's quite famous. If you don't know it, you can check it. It's quite famous. And I guess then you fall in love with tech SEO, because like if not, you wouldn't have done all that effort to become super competent in tech SEO and fight for tech SEO, because obviously it was more easy for you to be a content writer. So all my congratulations for the career switch. It's obviously a proof of how great you became, the fact that you can do a presentation on log file analysis, because it's years that I work in tech SEO, and I am pretty sure that there are not many agency of people that understand how log file analysis work and all the advantage that you can get from that. So all my congratulations. Moreover, I've learned that you have a blog, techseojournal.com. Again, I hope that I say it correctly. And so if ever somebody wants, can obviously join you there. So did I say everything, Katherine? Is that correct?
Yes, you got it all right. You got it all right.
Okay, so it was correct. Okay. And so please go share your presentation. I will mute myself. If you need anything, just let me know, and I will pop up again.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Ciao,
Okay.
Katherine.
This. Okay. So yeah. Can everyone see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
You have to do
Yeah.
slideshow.
Yes, doing that. Okay. So hello everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Catherine, like Sarah said, and today I'll be talking on finding SEO insights to improve crawling and indexing from your log files. Okay, so I was going to say a few things about myself, but Sarah pretty much covered everything up. So I don't think I need to go through this again. And since that's the case, I can just get right into what we have for the evening. So here goes. So in an ideal world where everything is perfect, search engines can easily access our pages and index everything 100%. There wouldn't be any issues and all would be well in the world. That is in an ideal world. But in reality, that's not often the case. So because for one, for your pages to be ranked, for them to rank, it has to be crawled and indexed first. But you'd find that you run into scenarios like this, like the one you can see on the screen, where changes to important pages on your website are not picked up as fast as they should. So maybe you created this page a week ago or a month ago, and till now they haven't been crawled or indexed. And in this scenario, when you're handling, let's say, hundreds of thousands of pages or even millions of pages, the chances that you would miss something very important doubles. And that is why finding out how search engines can access your pages, or if at all they can, is one of the most important things you should pay attention to when it comes to technical SEO. Now, a common resource that can help you find out these insights is the cross stats report on your Google Search Console. It's free, but this is not often a really 100% tool to rely on because it has some limitations. So, for one, you can only see a list of hits from Google bots. If you're optimizing for, let's say, other search engines like Bing or Baidu, you can't find this information on your cross stats report. Also, the cluster report shows you just an example of URLs that have been accessed by crawlers, not a full list. So you can see maybe a sample like a few hundreds pages, but that doesn't really mean those are the pages that have been accessed by search engines within a specific period. So what tool or what resource can you use to find an accurate list of how this is happening on your website? That is where access log files come in. So what are access log files? An access log file is a record that contains users and search engines who visited your website and the resource they accessed. So by resource, I mean the page they accessed. I like to think of this more of an electronic record at a really important building. So before you can come into this building, your entry has to be recorded. Whether you're an employee, a contractor, a visitor, you have to record your entry. And let's say maybe important details they can pick out if you're entering such building could be your name, the office you're visiting, and the timestamp. And that is exactly what a log file is all about. So in a log file, you would usually find an IP address of the visiting user agent. You find a timestamp, that is the date and the time. You get the request method. This could be get or post. You would also see the URL visited. By URL visited, this data would be just the relative part. And by relative part, I mean the section of the URL that comes after your domain name. So let's say you're trying to access a page called gifts, and the full URL can be example.com/gifts. On a log file, you just see the section that says /gifts, not the full URL. Next, you also see the HTTP standard, the byte size of the resource requested, and the user agent. So under the user agent, you likely get a combination of the browser and the specific user agent accessing your site at that specific time. So now that's done, let's get into the steps that are involved in analyzing your log files. So the first step is getting your log file. Of course, for you to access a log file, you need an actual copy of the log file. And getting this depends on your level of access, the hosting provider you're using, and in most cases, your CMS. So for instance, if you're using Shopify as your CMS, you likely wouldn't get access to your log files because Shopify doesn't share this. So if you're trying to do log file analysis, this wouldn't be for you because you can't get that copy. So besides this, if you're working on a website where you don't have much access to the back end, then speak with the dev team or the IT team to give you a copy of the log files. If you're working on a website where you have direct access to the back end, the hosting provider, you can contact them directly to walk you through the steps on how to get this. Or simply you can browse these steps. So on the screen, if you can see my screen clear enough, you will see the image on the screen are steps on how to access the log files of different platforms. So on the image, you will see that of Bluehost and WP Engine. You can also find for your specific hosting provider. Finally, another way to get your log file is through the FTP clients. And FTP client is a platform or an app, rather, an app that allows you to connect directly to your server. And when you connect directly, it allows you to download and upload files easily. Most hosting providers would recommend using an FTP client, but in some cases as well, you might not need this. It might not be important. So it depends on your specific hosting provider. Now, the next step to getting the insights you need or to get your log file is reviewing your server configuration for log files. Now, in most cases, you might think that automatically your log files are saved or archived, but that is not always so. So some hosting providers might enable this functionality by default, but in some cases, you would also find out that these log files are not archived. Like you can only get a few hours worth of log file. So in this case, you will need to check your configuration and make sure that this option is enabled so you can save and archive your log file for a specific period. You also need to check if there are limitations on the archive period. So for instance, I know that Flywheels, I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with Flywheels hosting. Flywheels only gives you access to 7 days worth of log files. So if you're running an analysis where you need 2 weeks worth of data, you would need to first get the first 7 days and then wait until the next 7 days to request access to the rest to get the log file data you need. So once you have all these done, the next important step is choosing a tool for your analysis. Now, it's possible to analyze your log file manually. It's possible, but it can be really time consuming. So you have to go through every URL one after the other. You have to validate each user agent to make sure that they are who they say they are, or they are what they say they are. And besides that, we are not even talking about the errors that you might get into analyzing this manually. So I wouldn't recommend that. Instead, it would be way better to use a tool. Now there are different tools you can use for your log file analysis. So there is Screaming Frog log file analyzer, there is Jet Octopus, there is OnCrawl, and there is Spotify. Now for this presentation, we'll be going through the Screaming Frog log file analyzer. They have a free version that allows you to crawl up to, I think, 1,000 events for each project. So we'll be using that for the presentation. Now, getting into how to find the insights you're looking for in your log file. So if you're using Screaming Frog or any tool, you would need to first turn on user agent verification before you start importing the log file you got from the dev team or your hosting provider. So on Screaming Frog, these steps are easy. Just go to the left top part of your screen. If you can see the picture, these are the highlighted parts are the steps you have to follow. So you can go to the section marked new, click on the tab user agent, and then select that option at the lower part of the screen that says verify bots when importing logs. This can slow down your importation, but it's worth it because later on you won't need to wonder, oh, is this really Google bot or is it a malicious user agent visiting my website? So once you're done with this verification, you click OK and continue with your log file analysis. So the first insight you can find from a log file is the ratio of valid pages versus error pages getting accessed. Are your valid pages getting accessed by search engines as they should? So by valid pages, I mean your pages are returned a 200 status code. Are they getting accessed, or are error pages winning the fight? Now, this particular log file we're analyzing is for a website that publishes content twice a week. Usually, seeing the trend, if you can see the screen, you will see that the red line supersedes the green line. The red line stands for excess error code pages, whereas the green line is for valid pages. So if you're looking at this, you would see that it's a concerning pattern to look at, because if error pages are getting crawled more than valid pages, then it means that you might not really be getting as much value as you should from those pages. But in this specific case, I wouldn't be too worried about it for this website because, okay, to give a bit of context, a few months ago, this website was hit with a spam issue where over a million spam URLs were added to the website's Google Search Console. Like, they were appearing on Google Search Console, but they were not available at the back end. So there was no way to delete this. And they were creating so much issues on the website. So what we did was to work with a developer who redirected these URLs, these specific URLs, to the 410 templates of the website. So it makes sense that search engines are crawling these 404 pages to make sure that, okay, are these pages valid? Are they actual pages? If not, then we can drop them off. Right now, we are at about, I think, 500 of these pages. Within the next few weeks, I expect that the 400 pages should come down and then the status code should go up. But if on your website you're seeing this trend and you know that you don't have spam pages or error pages, then it is really worth paying attention to and finding out what the problem is. Now, if in your case, like I mentioned, that your 404 or 410 pages are really large enough to oversee to supersede that of the valid pages, then you need to find the specific 404 or 410 pages that are affecting your site's SEO performance. So by SEO performance, I mean traffic, link equity, or even user experience. Now, in some cases, maybe you have a product and the product expired, or you don't carry this anymore, then you end up deleting that page if it's not handled correctly. When users click on this page and, okay, they're all excited, like, hey, I've seen this shoe, I really like it, let me click this link, and they hit a wall, that is the 404 or 410 error. Chances are they're going to be so frustrated that they will leave your website. So when this happens, you will lose out on traffic or revenue opportunities that you would have otherwise gotten from these pages. Now, to find out the specific 4 excess error pages that are affecting your SEO performance, you need to look at two things. So first, you consider, are valid pages returning a 4 excess error code? The second one, Are there important pages that should be redirected but are returning a 4xs error instead? We'll go through this one after the other. So first, are valid pages returning a 4xs error? Maybe you have a page is a really valuable page, and when you copy out a link of this page and paste on your browser, it appears as it should. But for some reason, when you go to Screaming Frog, you go under the response code section and filter down to 4xs, and you see this beautiful, valuable page responding with a 404, a 410 error. Then chances are you're dealing with a server configuration issue. This is the most common culprit. So maybe for some reason during developer fix or a configuration on your server, the server is configured to return a 404, a 410 response to actual valid pages. Now, when this happens, the valuable pages won't be crawled. If they're not crawled, they won't be indexed and they won't rank. So basically, you're just creating the content for yourself, and that is a waste of resources. So once you go to the response section on Screaming Frog and filter down and see actual valid pages returning a 4xs error code, then check your server configuration and check your server configuration to check if pages are configured to return the right response code. Now, the second thing I mentioned was, are there important pages that should be redirected but are returning a 4xs error instead? So usually when you delete a page, maybe like I mentioned, a product expired and you delete it, it would make sense to redirect the page if it's valuable. By valuable, I mean it has significant backlinks. Users are still accessing this. Crawlers are still trying to crawl this page. Then in that case, it makes sense to redirect it to the most relevant page. By most relevant, I mean it could be the parent category, it could be a closed product that looks or functions similarly like the one you deleted, or it could be a blog page or whatever is most relevant. But in cases where you find out that the page is not relevant, the backlinks are not really significant, and users are not accessing this, then it makes sense to remove references of this URL throughout your website. Now, I won't go much deep into how to determine how to find relevant and non-relevant pages, but I have a detailed article where I wrote down all this. So how you can find 404 pages users are still accessing from your Google Analytics 4, and how you can vet these pages to determine what to redirect and where to redirect. So if I can paste the link of this. Okay. The link is at the top section of the screen, if you can see. So it's techseojournal.com/404 error and how to fix it. So if you visit the specific page, you find the details you need. Now, the next insights you can get from your log files are identifying redirect codes that are slowing down your server. So usually there are different types of redirect code. We have the 307, we have the 302 temporary redirect, and we have the most popular and commonly used one, which is the 301 redirect. Now, because the name says permanent doesn't mean it should last forever. Nothing should last forever, not even 301 redirects. But in many cases, you find out that once you're handling a website, you find out that some redirects has been there for from the start of the world. Literally, it has been there, and you find out that when they get to a significant amount, then they start slowing down your server, because to access each page you have to go through the redirect before you find the destination page. So to figure out the redirects that are a bit problematic, consider two things. Are redirects properly implemented? If you go to the response code section, so instead of filtering down to client error 404 on Screaming Frog, filter down to 3xs errors, you will see pages. Now review these pages. Are there redirect loops or chains? So maybe page A redirects to page B redirects to page C, and page C finally redirects to D. In some cases, page D probably goes all the way back to page A, stuck in a loop. So if you find things like this, it makes sense to redirect directly from page A to page D, or whichever page you're interested in. Also, you have to consider, are there old redirects that should be removed to reduce server load? So this brings the questions. When should you remove a redirect? When is a redirect considered old enough to be removed? Now, John Muller from Google has said that if a redirect has stayed for at least a year and is no longer relevant, yeah, if a redirect has lasted for at least a year and is no longer relevant, then it makes sense to remove it. So by relevant, I mean it doesn't get any hits anymore. People are no longer accessing it. So to find out your redirects that people are no longer accessing, go to if you implemented your redirects with a plugin, most plugin have a section where you can see the number of hits of people that have accessed that specific URL for a specific period. If you find out that that redirect is no longer getting hits, that means people are not visiting it, then it makes sense to remove this, especially if it has been at least a year since you implemented it. Moving on, the next insight you can find from your log file is how well your newly created or updated pages are being crawled. So maybe you created a page last 2 weeks and you're going through your log file, and or you're going through even the page indexing report on Google search result, you're saying maybe discovered but not crawled. Then it's time to really find out why this page has, even though search engines know about these pages, why haven't they been crawled and taken care of since then? So to find out how to do this, first, create a spreadsheet. Now on this spreadsheet, you can paste a full list of link of your recently created pages. You can get this link from maybe your CMS, or if you have an idea like a separate place where you keep this data, you can copy them into a spreadsheet. Go to Screaming Frog and go to imported URL data. You see an option that allows you to upload the CSV file. So once you upload it, you would see in the first screen, you see an image just like the one that populates here. So you will see all those URLs you copied, you see them populate there. So on the screen, you can see http:/example.com. So those are sample URLs I used for this presentation. They're not actual URLs. So once yours populate like that, next move on to the second image, which is going over to the URL tab on Streaming Frog Log Analyzer. Once you get there, go to the view subsection, like the one I highlighted in the second image, and click on not in log file. Once you click on this, you will see a list of all URLs that do not appear on your log file, but appears on the sheet you uploaded. That's by that sheet, I mean the sheet that contains a list of all your recently published URLs. So once you see this, you can go deep into this to find out what are the response code, what is the average response time, and or even doing a manual review of how these pages appear. You can also do the same for relevant directories and sections of your website. So from the screen, you can go to the directories section and you see how it populates all directories on your website, including the number of times these directories were affected. Now, I had a case where a specific directory was getting really low crawl activity. Now, long story short, I found out that references, internal links that reference this section of the website were implemented with JavaScript, and they were all implemented wrongly. So when you disable JavaScript, these links are not coming up, and they were also not implemented with the standard href attributes. So search engines were having a really hard time getting to these pages, and that was why that section was really crawled. So once we fixed this, over the next few weeks, these pages picked up and they were crawled over time. So in your case, you could also look at this. You could consider that, okay, maybe they have a slow response time. So look at all these insights, and I'm sure you really find something that will be helpful to diagnose the problem you have. Next, check the consistency of the HTTP response of pages. Now, this is a bit uncommon, but it can happen where a page returns different status code at different times. So in maybe someone is accessing it at this point and it returns a 200 status code, which means all is well, it's fine, it's response as it should. Then the next moment, someone is accessing it and you're seeing a 401 or 301 or something else. So check these pages and find out, is this isolated to specific user agents? Is this isolated to maybe you had downtimes on your website, you had several issues, and maybe these were specific to that period? And also find out this page, what is the actual response code it generates? So you can open up this page and maybe run it through an audit tool like SCM Rush or any audit tool you use to confirm the actual status code it responds. Another insight you can find from your log file is how relevant user agents are accessing your website. Let's imagine for a moment that you're targeting an audience that is based in China. Your website is hosted in China. You've optimized all the way you can think of for a Chinese audience. Then all of a sudden, you upload your log file to a log file analyzer, go to the user agent section, and you can't find Baidu. So by Baidu, I mean the prominent search engine for China. You can't find Baidu. So instead, you keep seeing maybe Bing bots coming up, but you can't find any activity from Baidu. So this can be a bit of an issue because that means the search engine for the region that you're optimizing for can't access your website. So that could affect how other users can affect and how you can rank in that particular search engine. So the a few things to check once you run into this issue is your robust TXT file. Most often, someone might have accidentally blocked this search engine from accessing your website. So once you open up your robust TXT file, look for the lines that reference disallow and see if Baidu or whichever search engine you're interested in is listed there. Once you're done with this and you don't find anything, the next thing to look at is your website's front end password protected or behind a paywall? So often search engines won't crawl content that exists behind password protection or a paywall. If a page is meant to be crawled and indexed, then you have to remove these pages from behind these walls you put them. Finally, an issue that can also stop certain search engines from visiting your page is firewalls. Other issues are CDNs and security plugin. So I know that most security plugins they do an awesome job of taking care of your site security, but they might malfunction. They are prone to malfunctioning sometimes. So once this happens, you can see that when certain search engines are trying to access your pages, they would likely meet a 403 forbidden or something similar. So check these firewalls, contact your CDN provider, check your security plugin. Is everything as it should be? Chances are one of these issues might be what is affecting your website. Also, you can find orphan pages from your log file. Orphan pages are pages that are not linked elsewhere on your website or in most cases anywhere on the web. They only exist on the sitemap. So to find orphan pages, you can go through the step I referenced earlier, which is making a spreadsheet of pages. But in this case, you make a spreadsheet of all pages on your sitemap. And for this, you would need to use a paid plan or a different tool because you would need to analyze more than 1,000 events. You need to analyze a large amount of events and also within a specific period, which could be 3 months and or 2 to 3 months to get an accurate view of what is happening. So once you paste these URLs from your sitemap into a spreadsheet, you can upload it to the imported URL data section of that log file you're analyzing on Screaming Frog Log Analyzer. Then head over to the URLs tab, go down to view and click not in log file. This will give you a full list of all URLs that haven't been accessed for the specific period you're interested in. Now, once you see these URLs, so you first ask, okay, this page type of section, are they blocked in the robust TXT file? If they are not blocked, if this page type is not blocked, then you would need to look at two things that might be the culprit. So first, you look at JavaScript issues. How does the page render? Can search engines actually render this page? Can they crawl and render this page? Now, to find out how this works, use the Google Search Console live test tool. If you don't have access to the website's Google Search Console, that's not a problem. You can just use the mobile-friendly test tool or the rich results test. And the image on the screen is like how the tools, these last tools I mentioned, mobile-friendly test tool and rich results tool appear. So they both have a view tested page section, just like the live test on Google Search Console. This would allow you to go to the screenshot section and see a snapshot or a screenshot of how search engines are seeing this page. So if it appears like the one on the screen, then that means there is no issue and is not a rendering issue. Then the next most common problem why this is these ways could be sorry why this page haven't been accessed could be because there are poor or rather it doesn't have much internal linking. So maybe in your case maybe the page is not linked anywhere on your website, or maybe just like in the case I mentioned earlier, the links are not properly implemented. So you need to go through this and find out which specific one is creating orphan pages for pages on your website. Another insight you can find from your log file is spam or malicious bots. So usually every website has a bandwidth, right? You have a quota that is allotted to you for each specific period. Now, if request met to your server exceeds a quota that is allotted to you, your website can go offline. It can become inaccessible. The more you stay off, the higher the chances you're losing out on traffic. revenue opportunities, or any value your website has to you. Now, what these spam bots do is that they hit your website so many times that they can overload your server and bring your website down. In some cases, they can come over to scrape your content and duplicate it on another website. Or they can also skew your data. So you're checking your Google Analytics data and you're seeing this high uptick or high traffic, and you're like, yeah, okay, this page is so performing so well. I'm really killing it. And turns out that they are not actual human beings accessing your website. They're not real users. They are just malicious bots hitting your website over and over again. And this is not really a good thing for you to go through. So on Screaming Frog Log File Analyzer, you can easily spot bots or user agents that are malicious and are suspicious on your website. So go to the right top part of the screen. You will see an option like the one on the picture on the screen. So you would see an option like verification status show or verified, spoofed, verification not performed, verification error. So if you turned on your user agent verification like I recommended at the beginning of this presentation, you would see all these options. Now click down to spoofed. This gives you a list of all suspicious user agents that are attacking or visiting your website. Once you get this, you can get their details, get their IP address, and go to your security plugin or security provider and block their IP address from accessing your website. The last insight we'll be looking at you can find from your log file is identifying your slowest pages and directories. Now, the longer it takes for requests to be fulfilled on your website, the higher the chances that search engines might not crawl or access as many pages as they should. But that's not just the only problem. You're also dealing with frustrated users that are battling visibly slow pages, and chances are they might leave your page to that of a competitor. So you're losing out on money, you're losing out on SEO value, you're basically losing out on everything. So that's why it's very important to find out if you have problematic pages that are really slow. Usually, experts recommend, or most people recommend, pages responding within 200 millisecond or less. But this shouldn't just be the only benchmark you can use. I would like to, or rather, I like adding these other guidelines like, is the page visibly slow? When you're loading it, are you actually seeing a lag that is taking forever to go through? Also, the pages, are your competitors' pages faster than yours? In some fields like e-commerce, where the next person's page is faster than yours, that can be a really winning factor for most users. So you can go to the log file analyzer, you go under URL section, or you go under directory, depending on if you're analyzing a page or a directory. Check the average response time. So for this log file on the screen, the average response time is not recorded. Well, most log files record this information. So you can go through yours and find out how many time or how many milliseconds it takes for pages to respond. Now, if you're seeing that a few pages are affected, you can copy out this page and go to Google's Page Speed Insights to see a list of recommendations that you'll be given. So it could be to compress images on the page, defer JavaScript, or just keep off or lay off on third-party codes or scripts or fonts. But if you find out that a large number of URLs on your website, or nearly all URLs on your website, are affected, then it's a site-wide issue and not an isolated case. In that instance, you would need to look at your server bandwidth. Maybe you don't have enough bandwidth to start with. And you can also look at, are you using a shared hosting provider? So most of these shared hosting providers are commonly slow, and maybe you're not using a hosting provider that is powerful enough. So in this case, if the speed is really a big issue for you and users have complained about this, then it makes sense to invest in a more powerful hosting provider. So that brings us to the end of today's presentation. This isn't an exhaustive list of all the insights you can find from your log file. So feel free to take a look at your log file and find opportunities or insights that can help you improve your site's technical SEO and performance. Thank you.
Congratulations. It was a fantastic presentation. There are really a
Thank
few
you.
things that I love it in your presentation. First of all, when you started speaking about the Google Search Console, you are absolutely right. At least 3 times I heard people saying, yeah, but why do the log file if we have the Google Search Console? No,
Yes.
you have the report, and then I really think then you hit like a good point there.
Thank you.
Okay, so there were really few very good points, by the way, not just that one. But
Thank you. Thank you.
let's go on. So, who has questions? I know that it was a lot, and if you are not specialized in tech SEO, maybe it could be a
Yeah,
bit
yes,
complicated.
yes.
So, I don't know if you have question. Anyway, there will be the recording, and so you can pass through it at your own pace and check all are inside. Something very important, Catherine, I say no, the name Catherine like French people say. Sorry about that. I don't know, but now I decided that it's French,
Yeah,
so
sure.
fuck up. I
That's
will call you
fine.
Catherine forever. But something very important, you gave a list of tools. All these tools
Yes,
have very different price,
yes,
which I think then is important to know. A Screaming Frog, to the best of my knowledge, but correct me, it's the cheapest one. No,
yes, it is.
among all the tools, because I know a few of them, and yes, so I think that is the most accessible
It's the yes,
from a
yes, it's the most
price
affordable.
point.
Yes.
Exactly. So if you want to play, learn, I think that is really important. No questions? If not, I will just take the time to
Maybe
discuss with
if no one has any questions now, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I can just
you.
walk
Okay,
you
I
through.
have a question. Raza, she has a question.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yes. Okay. The website of my client have many integrations. Okay. And there is a rendering, a pre-rendering. Okay. We had the data in the log file from pre-rendering server. It means there are no real LPS, okay, of Google. Is there is any chance to get the full data? I don't know if you, this is a very specific case.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, so the problem is then they're not getting the IPS.
Okay, they're not
So
getting
be,
the.
mm. So the
Oh,
idea is there is an alternative. Do you know if there is an alternative? I I do not know, to be honest. I
okay,
don't know if you know.
I don't really think, but um, so maybe you can reach out to whichever server or hosting provider you're using, so they would have more information on what data they can add to you on the back end or what you have access to. So I would really recommend reaching out to them because this might be a platform specific issue, and I'm not sure how the platform you're using works.
Wait, she's saying no, she gets the IPs from pre-rendering server. Okay, which provide the local. Haha. Okay. Now I get. Raza, I think that is a very specific question on your very
Okay.
specific case, that one. I don't know if Catherine, you want to say something, or maybe you can check like in the future.
So the issue is she's or they are not receiving the IPS from the platform. I didn't get the question.
Yes, so they are getting, but they're getting cioè, from the pre-rendering. So from they're getting like they're not getting after the rendering part. So, but
Okay.
that is like it's I think that you ask a little thinking around. So it's a very specific question. I would say, Raza, maybe we sit
Okay.
all together on the and we think
Yes,
about that
or I
because it's
would also
interesting.
really recommend just reaching out to whoever it is that manages the platform, like the developers. They would have more. This section is their own specific section, so they might give you more information on anything you're missing out or whatever configuration you need to set on the server side.
Yes, I agree. Developer should be able to help on that. In case, again, get back and maybe we can sit all together and figure out
Okay.
something. Any other question? Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. No question? Okay. So we don't have any other question. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Catherine. It was really, really interesting. And yeah, thank you for sharing your experience. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Catherine.
Thank you
It
for
was
having me.
It was really lovely, a lovely presentation. As I say, it will be recorded. You can contact Catherine if you want on Twitter, if that is okay for you.
Yes, yes,
You can even just say officially on Twitter, she did a lovely
yes.
presentation.
Thank you.
But really, it was great. I think that there were a lot of insight, and I really hope that people feel it, the log file and the superpower of the log file.
I do hope
Can we
so
get the
too.
replay? Yes, absolutely. And this is what I am saying, because I think then a lot of people will need to digest it, especially if you're not specialized in technical SEO and you don't work since
Yes,
some time in technical SEO. So even the status quo from the 404, what it means, 301, what it means, and all the status quo, all the hosting and everything. So don't worry, you will have everything. So then you can check it again. Okay,
sure.
so that's all I think. Catherine, do you want to add something?
No, there's nothing to add for now.
Okay, so it's perfect. Thank you so much. Kiss to everybody. Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for joining. And
Bye.
thank you, Catherine, for your excellent presentation. A super effort that you did. Kiss, kiss. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.